She was a normal child, full of energy, joy, and curiosity. Born in 1994, she loved swimming, sports, and any chance to explore the world in motion. Life was vibrant, and she thrived in its rhythm. But then, something invisible began to work against her from within. Her own body turned on her brain and spine. Slowly at first, then relentlessly, her health began to crumble. Seizures came. Weakness set in. Soon she could no longer walk.
My whole life, I've been told what was impossible, what you'll never do, what you'll never become. And very few people told me what was possible and what I could become. If you break down impossible, it says I'm possible. As a kid, I was always super active, and I loved goofing around with my brothers. I'm a triplet, so there was definitely 3 times the trouble and 3 times the craziness. Dancing has always been my passion, and I loved performing. But I was also drawn to swimming and to the water. There's something so freeing about gliding through the water, and at 11 years old, I had my entire life ahead of me. But that's when things changed forever. One day, without any notice, my body suddenly started shutting down. Like a circuit breaker in a house, slowly each switch started to shut off. And then eventually, the lights went out, and I was trapped inside my body, unable to move, talk, and function. I was diagnosed with 2 rare autoimmune conditions, and there was little to no hope for recovery. But I felt the love of my family, and I could hear their words of encouragement and hope. Even though they couldn't hear me, I heard them. They were fighting for me, and I was fighting for them.
I know the doctors told you, Jacqueline, that she had 0 chance of surviving. Is that true?
They did, and I was going to take care of her no matter how she was. She was my child.
There were days I would lose a lot of hope. I couldn't do it anymore, and I had to prepare for the possibility of dying. And then I had this moment and this epiphany, if you will, where I realized, wait a second, this is not how my story is supposed to end. And so I made a promise with God. If you give me this second chance at life, I promise you I will not waste a single moment.
She began to regain control of her body. What she experienced could only be described as a miracle.
And from there, I knew I had to fan the flame. And I realized this is happening. This is actually happening. Winning gold and 3 silver medals at the Paralympic Games is something I'll never forget. But I knew deep down there was still more work I had to do. I had to continue to redefine what was possible and get back everything that was taken away from me. And the one thing that I had yet to conquer was walking and dancing. After spending 10 years in a wheelchair, there were days I would go to Project Walk, I would go to my training sessions, and I didn't know if I was possible.
And is it true the doctors told you?
Oh, I was told I would never walk again, but I'm kind of stubborn in that sense. When I'm like, if you said, I mean, you're not God, so you can't, tell me what I can and can't do. But they said that I would that this awakening was a miracle, but I had irreversible damage to my spinal cord, and that I would be paralyzed the rest of my life. Today, my life has limitless possibilities. And I even realized one of my sports dreams becoming one of the youngest on-air talents hired by ESPN. And today, I can say I've realized another dream, being a contestant on Dancing with the Stars. I would never choose what happened to me, but I would never change it. I will use my voice to change the world, spreading hope, spreading love, and spreading light, because the world needs that. That's enough for me. That is what makes all of this worthwhile.
So there's some key takeaways for me here, and you may consider those for yourself. First, she was supported by her family. That's so important. We need the family, the closest people to us, but the family of the church as well. And our churches need to be places where people feel supported, whatever they might be going through, supported with the love and the grace of God. And the second thing, we need to have personal relationship with God. She was motivated by her family, but also she was motivated and empowered by God when she talked to him and expected from him and dealing with him. That's something between her and God. Nobody can mediate between you and Jesus. You got to come to Jesus and he will establish a relationship with you and he will make your life count, and whatever you might be going through, he's there for you.